The house was small, barely enough for a family, yet it held within its walls the cries of a baby too young to understand what were happening. Diana was 6 months old when her mother left. No warning, no explanation, no note. She was simply gone, as if Diana had never mattered. A neighbor, who had been watching the house from a distance, saw the woman slip away in the early morning hours. She carried a small bag, just enough for herself. She did not turn back. She did not hesitate. She walked away with steady steps, disappearing down the date road, leaving her daughter behind. Diana's cries filled the empty house. For hours, no one came. A baby cannot understand abandonment. She only knows hunger, the absence of warmth, the growing fear that no one is coming. By the time an elderly woman, a distant relative, found her, Diana's voice was hoarse from crying. Her tiny body trembled from exhaustion. The old woman, Diana's grandmother, picked her up with trembling hands. "Oh, my poor child," she whispered, cradling her close. From that moment on, her grandmother became her entire world. For 6 years, Diana lived in a home filled with warmth, love, and safety. Her grandmother was old, but she was strong. She told Diana bedtime stories, wrapped her in a thick blanket during cold nights, and taught her the value of kindness. "You are special, my child," she would say. "You must always hold your head high." Diana believed her. She felt safe. She felt loved, until the day everything changed. It started as a simple cough. Her grandmother dismissed it, waving away Diana's concern. "Just a little cold, my dear." But the cough grew worse. Then came the fever. Then the weakness. One morning, Diana woke up to find her grandmother unable to move from her bed. Panic gripped her tiny heart. "Grandma, wake up. Please wake up." The old woman tried to smile, but her lips barely moved. "My sweet girl, always be strong." And then she closed her eyes. "Forever," Diana screamed. Neighbors came running, their faces full of sorrow. She clung to her grandmother's lifeless body, refusing to let go. But death does not listen to the cries of a child. And so, for the second time in her short life, Diana was abandoned. The funeral was brief. There was no time for long ceremonies in a poor village. Diana did not fully understand what was happening. She only knew that people spoke in hushed tones around her, that some looked at her with pity, and that no one seemed to know what to do with her. Then, one day, a man she barely recognized arrived. Her father. He had been absent all her life, a name she barely remembered. But now, he had come to claim her. At first, Diana felt hope. Maybe she would have a family again. Maybe she would not be alone anymore. But when they arrived at his house, that hope shattered. Her father was married now. His new wife, Diana's stepmother, was a tall, cold-eyed woman who barely looked at her. From the very first moment, Diana knew she was not welcome. Her stepmother did not speak to her much, except to give orders. "Clean the floor. Wash the dishes. Stay out of my way." At first, Diana thought maybe it was just an adjustment period. Maybe one day, her stepmother would soften toward her. But instead, things got worse. It started subtly. The first night, everyone sat at the table for dinner, but there was no plate for Diana. She waited, thinking maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they had just forgotten. But when she looked up, her stepmother's eyes were on her. Cold, unforgiving. Diana swallowed hard and kept quiet. 4 days, she survived on scraps, whatever little she could sneak when no one was watching. Then, even the scraps stopped coming. She was deliberately starved. Her father, too blind or too weak to interfere, did nothing. So, one day, when the hunger became unbearable, Diana did the unthinkable. She saw the dog's leftover food, and she ate it. Her hands shook as she picked up the scraps. She knew it was wrong. She knew it was humiliating. But hunger is stronger than pride. She stuffed the food into her mouth, swallowing quickly before anyone could see. But someone did see. A boy from the neighborhood. His eyes widened in shock. "You're eating the dog's food." Shame burned through Diana like fire. She wanted to run, to disappear. That night, the boy's mother called her over. She sat her down, her voice gentle but firm. "Is it true?" she asked. Diana lowered her head. She could not lie. Tears welled in the woman's eyes. "Oh, my child." From that night on, she secretly fed Diana. A small act of kindness, a small lifeline. But food was not the only thing Diana's stepmother took from her. At first, the punishments were mild. A slap here, a shove there, but soon they became worse. She was beaten with sticks, with belts, with whatever her stepmother could grab. Her crime? Existing. One day, she spilled a cup of water by accident. Her stepmother's eyes flashed with rage. "You clumsy, useless child." She grabbed Diana by the arm, dragged her outside, and tied her hands together. Then she rubbed hot pepper into her eyes. Diana screamed. The burning was unbearable. She clawed at her face, trying to wipe away the pain, but it only made it worse. She was left like that for hours. And then came the toilet punishment. For the smallest mistakes, she was locked inside the toilet for entire nights. No food, no water, no light, just darkness. Her thirst became so unbearable that, one night, her stepmother smirked at her and said, "If you're that thirsty, drink your own urine." Diana did not cry. She refused to let her stepmother see her pain. But inside, something changed. She knew if she wanted to survive, she had to fight. Despite the suffering, Diana never gave up on her education. She knew that school was her only way out. So she studied harder than anyone else. Even on the days when her body ached from beatings, even on the nights when she went to bed hungry, she refused to let her suffering define her. Teachers noticed her intelligence. She became the best student in her class. Awards followed. Recognition followed. One day, a teacher asked, "Diana, what do you want to be when you grow up?" She lifted her chin and said, "Successful." Years passed. Diana escaped. She built a life for herself, a life her stepmother never wanted her to have. Today, she is a great woman in society. The woman who abandoned her, the woman who beat her, they reach out to her now. They want to claim her success. But Diana knows the truth. Her victory is hers alone. To those who suffer, to those who feel abandoned, she says, "You are stronger than your pain. Your suffering does not define you. Your victory is coming." And she is living proof of that. And that, my friends, is Diana's story, a journey of pain, survival, and ultimate victory. Her life is proof that no matter how deep the suffering, no matter how cruel the world may be, there's always a way forward. There's always a way to rise above the past and create a future of success. If this story moved you, if it inspired you, then let's keep the message alive. Like this video, share it with others, and leave a comment below. Tell us your thoughts, share your experiences, or just drop a word of encouragement for someone who needs it. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story. Together, we can spread hope, inspire change, and remind the world that strength comes from the hardest battles. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay strong and stay inspired.